this is not normal.
No.
Like, what he is doing at the minute is unheard of.
It's domination,
Yeah. And enjoy him whilst he's here.
Yeah.
Because he might not be for that long.
One of the toughest strongmen in history, right here. It's not a beauty contest. It's a strongman. Have to be alive if you can't do that thing. And away we go!
Welcome to the Giants Live podcast. I'm here with the new Europe's Strongest Man, Luke Richardson, newly crowned.
Newly crowned.
How are you feeling?
Two-time Europe's Strongest Man. Yeah, I feel really good. Body feels really good. In a really good mental space now. Obviously, we've not got long to a World's Strongest Man. I think I needed a performance like the one I had at Europe's after my performance at Britain's, but it wasn't really much.
No performance, really.
Yeah. So I didn't want to go into World's Strongest Man with that being the last comp that I'd done before. So I think I needed this one for kind of like my head more than anything to put me in good stead.
Yeah, I mean, the finish of it, I mean, you finished it convincingly. I mean, your stones look relatively easy. And a lot of people struggled on Saturday night on the stones, which surprised me a little bit.
Yeah, I think the lack of distance between the deadlift and the stones was the reason that we were seeing a lot of down performances there, because deadlift does take a lot out of you, doesn't it?
Yeah, usually would have that earlier on, but then my thought was you had shield walk, press medley, carry and drag, so there wasn't anything that was stone friendly, if you like.
No, and then I think the order of events was good because the only break event in there really was the drag. If you did a deadlift before or straight after a shield, it's going to be absolutely terrible, isn't it? And yeah, I think it was right, and it was a good test of fitness as well, putting it that late in the comp. So it showed who'd kind of like worked on their conditioning and things like that. But,
and obviously there was always this little bit of controversy over was it a real lineup in 2020? I know you wanted to really go with a stacked lineup because we know, well, you've won it. We know you can win it with a stacked lineup. But obviously in 2020, COVID, and there wasn't all the big internationals there, although it was a great lineup. Does it feel different to you doing it like this, where there was no holds barred, if you like? Everyone was invited.
Yeah, of course. Like, when I won it back in 2020, and I only want to touch on this briefly because I actually thought this after the show. Like, my interviews were quite aggressive and quite... that's not really who I am. I'm quite a chill guy, but I think that to me was vindication for 5 years of feeling like a fake champion because of what people have said about a competition that I showed up and won fair and square. Now, I'm not an unreasonable person. Was the lineup in 2020 weaker than it has been for the amount of time that I've been following the sport? Well, it was, and I can admit that myself, that's fine. But I showed up and I won, and I beat Adam Bishop, reasonably convincingly, who at that time was a British champion and did really well. Yeah. So it wasn't like I was just a Mickey Mouse.
I think it was circumstantial, and I think a lot of things in the world were in the place where they should have been. Not to go into it too much, but look at the Thor deadlift thing.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been done, in his gym if it had not been COVID, but that was what it was, and people had to, not just us, every strongman federation and strongman had to cut the cloth to suit, which was, things were a little bit substandard, but you could only come to a show that we put on, and that was the one. That was the one show.
But that's like you were saying before, no holds barred now. So to me now, that is, I can leave this to bed in my own mind, and I'm glad that I don't have to feel the way that I feel about being called Europe's Strongest Man anymore, because it got to the point where I'd be announced as Europe's Strongest Man and I'd feel embarrassed.
Right, okay.
Because I'm just being honest, that's how it made me feel, after what people said. And it's not nice to have one of the things that you should be probably most proud about in your entire life feel like a fake and an embarrassment. So, yeah, everyone was saying that this was the best lineup since Ford did it in 2019.
It was mega,
Yeah,
and that's why it was so close as well. I mean, were you 1 point in front coming into the last event?
I was 1 point ahead of Andre.
Yeah, which isn't that comfortable, is it?
And I think I was only 2.5 points ahead of Paddy Haynes.
Yeah. And then with obviously not many people loading the stones, I think there was only 3 of you that loaded the stones.
Yeah, so 3 of us who loaded the stones. That was it. I was 1 point ahead of Andre. I was 2 points ahead of Mateus, and I was 2.5 points ahead of Paddy Haynes.
So you knew you had to pull out the bag.
Yeah, and with how my stones have been feeling in training, and just how I was feeling about the competition this weekend in general, I had the stuff happen at Brits. I never actually addressed it publicly, but I was having some problems with my hormones and my thyroid, and I was also, my immune system was fighting something off. Laura had a chest infection the week leading up to the comp, so she was in spare bedroom, but it obviously still managed to make its way to me. But that's what happened at Britain's. I had to pull out. It was unfortunate, but I actually like that the last International Giants Live that I won was Europe's Strongest Man, and the first one that I've won back is Europe's Strongest Man.
Yeah.
It kind of makes me happy, not happy, but it makes me feel good that it's like Europe's to Europe's.
Vindicated, yeah. I mean, and also it's been, let's be honest, between those two shows, it's not been easy, has it?
No.
You've had how many operations?
5.
5 operations. Yeah. And I think I said it on Saturday night to the crowd, a lot of people would have given up, and that's the truth, you know. I think I certainly would have given up, you know. So you've come through a hell of a lot, which I think, not just for yourself, I know it makes it a bit more bittersweet for you and makes it worth it, and for your family and for your missus and everything like that, but even for the fans, people were like really pleased you won, actually, to be fair.
Yeah.
I never heard anyone going, oh, I wish so-and-so had won or so-and-so. And I think that, you know, I always say, I don't really care, I want the best person to win. You know, if you haven't trained right for it or there's something wrong, and even if you get injured, not getting injured is probably the biggest part of Strongman. You know, just getting through a show.
Especially for me.
Yeah, definitely, But you got through it, and I think it was a real nice moment for everybody, just as that prize at the end of it all, because you've stuck to it. You haven't said, oh, I'm going to pack it in.
Well, I think that's the thing, like, it's very relatable, because the struggles that I've been facing over the last 3 or 4 years have been real struggles. I think people look to us strongmen because of how we look physically, and this isn't to get into some sort of like virtue signalling thing, because we are very physically large, capable men, whatever. And obviously I've faced the last 4 years in a way that I'm proud of, which means that I know that I can back myself and I'm a tough guy. But the struggles over the last 3-4 years have been really normal struggles that people feel every day. I've been in crippling amounts of debt. Money's coming into my account, it's going out straight away to pay for surgeries. I've had to borrow money off you to pay for, you paid for my lat surgery and I paid you back, and that's having these things hanging over you. They're real struggles. They're the struggles of like everyone nowadays.
Does that mean I get like commission on the prize money?
Maybe everyone who helped get my bicep fixed as well, they're kind of part of that win. But yeah, and then it's like, not only are you facing them struggles of worrying about having to pay the bills and things like that, but you're still pursuing the thing that's put you in that position.
Yeah,
you'd think that you'd stop, but I just knew in my heart of hearts that I could come back from it, despite everything that's happened. Like, I can remember when I had my hamstring done in London, my fifth operation before Britain's Strongest Man last year, and I can remember being laid there in the bed. I'd just come round from the operation, and it was about 5 o'clock in the morning. I'd been awake, I couldn't sleep because I can't sleep because my leg was half hanging on, and I can just remember lying there on my own just thinking, if you can come back from this, like, that'd be something else.
And then you fast forward to Saturday night, and there you are, and it's credit to your personality to be able to actually dig deep like that.
Thanks very much. But it's like you said, like, for everyone who's wanted to see me do well, including the fans, and it feels weird saying fans because I don't believe, obviously people follow me, but it's weird. I just don't like the term fan for some reason. But people who've been interested in and have supported what I've been going through, and then feel some sort of connection to me and the performance that I put out on Saturday, it's not lost on me, and I am very grateful. And I apologise if I wasn't maybe more thankful and graceful in my post.
I think it's probably looked to me like built up tension and aggression that came out.
Yeah, like that was 5 years of me ruminating on something, really. Like, because I finished the Stones and I wasn't even saying anything, I was just screaming. Like, I was just screaming. I wasn't saying words, I was just shouting, and that's like something that I'm sure a lot of people can relate to as well. You've just got this thing inside you, and it was nice to, I feel like I weigh a ton less.
Well, I always think it's a shame when, and there is people out there, certainly in strongman and in any sport, where they had such a talent and never really got where they were going because of injury or stress or life struggles. And you think, we could all name people and say, well, that person had all the tools to do really well but didn't. And I always think that's a shame for whatever reason, whether it's injury or whatever. And, at least now there's one more title you've got, another Europe's Strongest Man title, moving on to World with this confidence that you just beat all these people. you know, and it was a hell of a lineup. Well, let's talk about the lineup. I mean, you know, obviously two people that people were talking about was Paddy Haynes for a kickoff. He did brilliantly. He's probably the best athlete in the sport right now. Probably him and Mitch Hooper, I would say.
Yeah, I'd agree.
As in for, you know, the tank, if you like, to be able to.
Well, I think that Paddy on the steeplechase at Britain's, there's not a person in the world currently who'd have beat him on that steeplechase at Britain's, and I don't think there's a person in the world currently who would get near him on that Shield.
I agree. I even think probably something like a Conan's Wheel as well.
Yeah,
I just can't see someone beating him.
Like, it's weird because I'm a bit more like fast twitch. Like Mateus is very the same. Like Mateus looked like he was moving well, and then he just stopped.
Yeah.
Whereas Paddy just has this engine.
Running
I don't know where it comes from. Yeah, it's
crazy.
just diesel, innit?
I mean, he looked like he'd do like 100 metres with that Shield, because when he got past 80, he started sticking his tongue out and messing around.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I felt that thing. Obviously, you felt it on Saturday night. It's horrible.
Well, that's the thing. Like, if you took the average distance for the rest of the lineup, it was probably, if you averaged it out, it was probably high 30s, 40 metres, and he did 90.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
Like, and it's weird because it's not like a static lift and it's not very showy. It doesn't get that same level of respect, but that is probably, and you're the same as well, obviously. The only reason I've seen what I've seen in terms of impressive feats of strength is because I've been around it for so long because of you, and I've done some impressive things myself. And although it's maybe not as like Instagrammable and things like that, that is one of the most impressive things.
It was unbelievable, yeah. And the way he moved with it moved like it wasn't even there. Yeah. Like it looked like he couldn't run any faster without the 200 kilo weight, you know.
And something that I really like about the front carry events as well is that they're really gritty.
Yeah.
Like everyone hits the wall. Maybe it's a different place in the run, but you get to really see what someone's made of. And
I felt like that Paddy, I'll be honest with you, I don't think he had to push himself on that. I felt like he got to like 80 metres and it was easy.
Yeah.
And I don't think he really did dig in, because I honestly think he could do 100 metres with it.
Which is funny, innit? Because with the rest of the events coming up in that show, like, how can you carry a 200 kilogram shield for 90 metres and then go out and do 8 reps on a 350 axle deadlift, 4 events into a show?
I mean, then on the downside to Paddy, obviously the big problem is his press. You know, his press isn't as good as the rest of his events. So it'd be nice if we can see him start to improve on that. His deadlift's good. His stones were brilliant.
Fantastic, yeah.
Only one of the three of you. I think you just beat him on stones, but it was quick. Yeah. Really, what other weakness does he have? His grip's unbelievable. It's literally just
his press. He's a bit of a Mateus, but with his pressing instead of Mateus, it'd been his deadlift. Where, Paddy, you can reliably depend on the fact that he's going to lose points on that event, but then he could literally win the next 4 events.
Definitely.
That's how good he is, and I think that this is a nice plug and promo for England's Strongest Man, in the sense that if you come to England's Strongest Man at the York Barbican in July, you are seeing the first and second place people from Europe's Strongest Man.
Plus all the guys that are qualifying across the country as
well.
Shane
Flowers came second at Britain's Strongest Man.
Yeah.
Graham's there. Ben Glasscock, was fantastic. So England's Strongest Man is going to be super competitive this year.
It'll be massive, It'll be massive. Probably, I reckon, one of, in recent years, the best England Strongest Man lineup.
Yeah.
Well, I can't think of a better one, really.
No.
And then, so Mateus, his first event out, I mean, let's be honest, a bit like yourself, people say, Mateus will do all right if he doesn't get injured. Like that caveat goes with you and him.
Yeah.
And so, you know, when you're trying to guess who's going to win, that's what people are saying. Yeah, Luke might win it, Mateus might win it if they don't get injured. Mateus probably has had quite as many surgeries as you, but he's getting on that way, I think.
He's had more.
He's had more, has he?
Mateus has had 5 surgeries on 1 tricep.
Wow. So then,
and then wins the press medley.
And he Viper presses the logs at 150 at the end, so on the 7th and 8th rep, and I was like, wow, he's definitely back. And I felt like he did very well. He podiumed. Obviously, his deadlift was down a little bit. That's his Achilles heel, if you like. But I think he's going to get better again. I don't know, because he was a bit nervous, and I spoke to him. He was like, I'm not used to the fast pace of giants like this. So I want to come back and I want to train differently. And he felt like he'd just been out for quite a long time and not used to that environment. And he is a nervous guy. He admitted it himself.
I think this is the thing as well. When you compete in the fashion that Mateus does, which is destroying everything, it's when you've had an injury, as we all have, you've had injuries, I had injuries. When you've had as many injuries as like Mateus or me, for example, it's a real hurdle to get over for anybody, never mind someone who's had... Mateus will have had near 10 surgeries, I'm certain.
Yeah.
If I lift this, what's going to pop?
Yeah.
You wait for it. And when you're vipering logs and doing stuff like that, there is absolutely no room for any sort of hesitation or second guessing. And what he's probably had to overcome more stuff than me. And I think that the difference with Mateus is as well is that he had a greater taste of victory before he had that fall from grace as well. So that's even harder because I hadn't had the same highs that he'd had before.
But I think he's going to see Saturday night as a win.
I think so, and I think he should. He was actually smiling on the podium, which was nice. I've got an incredible amount of respect for Mateus. I'm actually a big fan of Mateus because Mateus is one of the guys from that era of the Brian Fort, Eddie. He was up and coming during that stage, getting like kind of fourth and then seconds at World's Strongest Man. And when I actually read the sheet backstage that said I was going against him on the press medley for the first event, I was a bit like, oh.
Well, I thought obviously you can see in his training when you watch his videos that his power was there, and I saw him loading the stones. I saw him doing that impressive pressing. He doesn't show much deadlifting. It isn't his event, but I was just wondering whether he still moved as well. You know, he's a little bit older, 6-7 years not in these sort of competitions is a long time. And I know he's done the Arnolds, but there's not a lot of moving in that show, whereas there is moving in Worlds in Hours. But he moved so well with the anchor and chain, unbelievable. And I thought, wow, he's still got that foot speed.
Yeah, and I think as well, actually, to touch on his deadlift a little bit, I feel like we put this real stigma to Mateus that he has a bad lift. He did just time out doing the fourth rep.
Yeah,
I believe Pavlo Kordiaka did 4 reps, 3 or 4 reps, either amongst us. These are 400 kilo deadlifters. 400. I believe Mateus' best deadlift before all of this injury stuff was at the 2019 World Deadlift Championships where he pulled 420. So he's only
not that
10,
far off.
20 kilo away from that.
The thing is, what this is people get lost in it a little bit. Oh, Mateus' deadlift isn't that good. No, it's just he's stood next to Brian Shaw, Hapthor, Eddie, and he wasn't at their class. Well, they were still pulling 420. Yeah. But the difference is those guys are the late 400s. So I don't think it's the fact they had a bad deadlift. He was just really good at strongman and in with the monsters at that particular era of deadlifters.
There's never been an era of deadlifters like that before or since.
Exactly. Yeah. So he was in that era, and like I say, I think he maybe got a bit of a bad judgment on his deadlift because it's not terrible. It's just not up there with those guys.
Yeah, but hopefully he can I really hope that the best is to come for Mateus because I think that anyone who can endure what he's endured deserves not only flowers for the things that they're able to do after enduring it, but just for actually getting back in the first place. Like it's such, obviously I can resonate with it a lot, but it's such a mental battle. Every day feels like war. It's tough. So
I mean, obviously we had a Luke Stoltman drop out of the show. He didn't look that well when he got there. He said he'd had problems. I think he'd caught a bit of a bug. Yeah. And you could see when he started, his press was pretty good, but he just wasn't there, I think. And to be honest with you, when you're competing at that level, Luke obviously is capable of winning. He's won it twice. Yeah. He's on good form. He's just won Britain's Strongest Man. But I think if you are ill, you can't perform against people like yourself.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? When you look at the standard of the Europe's lineup and you look at the events that we're facing when it's very conditioning based, in the same way that Britain's, Luke was in absolutely phenomenal shape at Britain's, the best shape that we've ever seen.
I think so, yeah. Physical and mental and everything, he just seemed to be on it.
Yeah, he was absolutely fantastic. You can't knock him. You can only respect the performance that he put on at Britain's. It was great. But with the events that have got coming up, in the same way that me at Britain's, like I wasn't well at Britain's, to do them events when you're 100% is one thing. To do them events when you're 100% and win against other people that are 100% and have prepped and stuff as well, it's just, at some point, the odds just become somewhat insurmountable. And it just
but he's on a great run, let's be honest. He's on a good run. And hopefully he gets himself better for Worlds and gets...
I want everyone to show up at the best. Yeah, that's the competitive spirit in it. So
another big name that's getting talked about is Andre. He's doing fantastic. He was, again, I don't want to say his stones let him down, and that his stones are bad, but they let him down in that breadth of competition. Yeah, because if he would have been better at stones, he would have definitely been on the podium, let's be honest.
Yeah, I'm actually Andre's coach.
Right, okay. Well, you need to sort this out.
Yeah, I don't know if you knew that, but that's the thing. Like, before this competition, I said that I believe that Andre is the statically strongest person in this comp.
Yeah.
If you took press deadlift,
Yeah.
no one gets near Andre. Like, he's probably got a 220 log press. Could probably pull, upwards of 440 kilos.
Yeah.
Like, he's strong. He's very strong at the minute. But we'd worked on his shield, his moving, his stones very hard. He was one motion in 200 kilo stones. He was dusting the run. But it is just another thing entirely doing it at the end of a competition like that. And I'm not sure how much you can prepare for that other than doing your conditioning and showing up as fit as you can be. It's kind of one of them. If you trained that way every week, you'd literally not be able to exist, would you?
No, and I think he's learning, and he's a young lad as well. People forget how old he is.
And then when he didn't managed to pull out the podium last year for the stones, it was the lighter set.
Yeah.
So he basically did to the heavy set what he did to the light set last year.
That's it.
Which was, he was equal with me on the fourth stone. He loaded the first four just as fast as me. So if he'd beat me to the fourth stone, and then I didn't do the last stone and he didn't do the last stone, Andre would probably be Europe's strongest man.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he'd have
1
point caught up. So he wasn't far at all, in the same way as Paddy went out and did that stone run very quickly. That's the thing with stones, and it's very high stakes. You can, when you're in that moment and as an athlete, and you can see that there's 2.5 points separating 4 people, and then they have that fastest stone rule. It's like, it's a lot of pressure, and I didn't feel it in the moment because I just felt like I was going to win. Because that's just how I felt about the entire weekend, to be honest. I just had this level of belief and confidence in my preparation and my training that I was just not going to lose. But yeah, Andre, throughout the show, I was more impressed with how his moving events went and things like that. 50 metres on that shield, although it maybe wasn't necessarily like, look at that in that lineup, that is like an incredibly good result for that shield. When you look at comps previous, when they've done it at Britain's and things like that, you've had like Mark Steele getting 60 metres, and then the next best guy was like Eddie at 50, and everyone was 40, 30, 35. So yeah, I think he's 23 years old.
Unbelievable. Yeah, sky's the limit for him, really. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does at World's Strongest Man as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a great show. The audience was really responsive. It was a full house. Live stream was great. No problems with the live stream. It's not like Britain's Strongest Man, but we've fixed our server and everything's going well with that, and with great feedback from that. Yeah, it was fantastic. So now it's World's Strongest Man for you, World's Strongest Man prep, and then what about the rest of the year? What Giants Lives are you joining us for? Yeah,
so obviously I'll have England's Strongest Man in July. That's the only one that I'm pending for, but as Europe's Strongest Man, if the invites are being extended to me, I will take as many of them as I possibly can. So.
Well, I mean, we've got obviously we've got Birmingham World Deadlift Championships. Mitch Hooper's saying he's going to pull 505,
and he will. He will.
I mean, how can you bet against him? Really, I don't really. He seems to do what he says he's going to do, and I remember looking at Mitch probably a year into his sort of flash where he sort of came on the scene. And thinking, his pressing's probably just a bit behind the best guys, and the next minute he's got an actual world record.
I think this is the thing with Mitch, and I think that when you actually sit here and watch what he's doing, as someone who understands it as kind of like intimately as we do, when you've done it and you understand what it's like, but even for a fan, like this is not normal.
No.
Like what he is doing at the minute is unheard of.
It's domination,
yeah. And enjoy him whilst he's here.
Yeah.
Because he might not be for that long.
No.
But yeah, I agree with you. Birmingham, I would say it is more likely than not likely that he does it.
And then we've got Royal Albert Hall coming up as well in July. That's a great lineup. Events I'm not sure of yet. I'm just sort of picking those, and obviously it's off the back of World's Strongest Man, so we'll see some of the invites and people how they do there. And then we've got the big one in Glasgow, which obviously both the Stoltmans are at.
Yeah.
And Tom likes to win that one. Obviously, it's in on his home soil, if you like.
Yeah.
But obviously Mitch likes to win everything as well, so that's going to be an interesting one. So that'll be a good battle there. So you'll be joining us for those, no doubt.
I'd love to. Yeah. Well, obviously I podiumed at Birmingham and Glasgow last year.
You did, yeah.
So those are shows that I'd like to do again. I've always wanted to do Royal Albert Hall. I've been announced for it once or twice, I believe.
Yeah.
Definitely in 2021 I was announced for it, and then I obviously tore my bicep at Worlds. I couldn't do it, and then maybe I've been announced for it at some point. It's been too many years.
It's definitely the best venue.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's not a very big venue compared to ones we're used to. It's only 5,000 people, but it's so prestigious. It's beautiful.
It has a bit of my favourite venues of the year are Leeds and First Direct Arena and Royal Albert Hall. It just seems that them two shows, special stuff happens.
Yeah. I mean, Leeds is a beautiful arena and it's modern, and I think it's more set up for music, and the stage isn't that big, but it's big enough for us. It's just big enough. It seems like it's right for a strongman show.
Yeah.
You know, and I think because we started in Leeds with the big arena shows, I think people just gravitate towards it.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool for me in Leeds because obviously it was this big like push for like Yorkshire, and obviously the majority of people who were from there from Yorkshire, so there was like a lot of crowd support for me. But I can actually remember being sat in the crowd at the first Europe's Strongest Man at the First Direct Arena, watching Loz win and watching Eddie pull 500, and it was so mental to like walk out of that arena and be the person that I was watching in the crowd 9 years ago.
Well, there were some pictures of you helping out backstage, helping me out backstage, years before. So it's a long road, but it just shows people out there, if you keep plodding on, if you've got your dreams, go for them, don't you? Keep plodding on rather than, and everything that's good never comes easy, does it?
No.
And you haven't had it easy, but you're reaping the benefits now.
Well, that's it. Hard roads are worth walking usually.
That's
so
it,
yeah, I'm glad I've done it. I regret absolutely nothing, and it'll be when I'm knackered and old from all the crap that I've put my body through. At least I'll be able to look back and say, yeah, but I've done some pretty cool stuff. So.
Definitely. Well, thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Darren. Hi.
Thanks.